Here we are, Location Luxe. I'm your host, Alan Canas, and here in Season 1, we'll be focused on what we're calling the Great Lifestyle Migration. On each episode, I'll be right here in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Over the last few decades, we've witnessed a great migration for employment and technology development. As such, the need and demand for homes has been among the highest in the country. These migration choices are giving people an extraordinary opportunity to explore new locations, amenities, and lifestyle options. And that's why we're here. Location Luxe. And this week, I'm so pleased to welcome another one of my favorite real estate colleagues, Pollyanna Snyder, direct from Montana. Pollyanna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Alan, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you. I'm here in Bozeman, Montana today, where we're having all weather patterns. It's perfect for spring skiing, and we have snow. It's snowing right now over the Bridger Mountains, and the sun's coming out to the west. So I'm in a panoramic spot right now where I can see about 100 miles in every direction.
Pollyanna, today we're going to talk about how not only is Montana a destination location, but it's a beautiful lifestyle. But before we do that, I would love it if you would take a moment to talk a little bit about you and your business.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having me. I've been in Bozeman now for about 12 years. I grew up in the military. I'm originally from Kentucky and Virginia, and met my husband and had my children in Southern California, which is where I began my real estate career in South Orange County, primarily the Laguna Beach, Dana Point, San Clemente area. Left there in 2006, and I have since practiced real estate in North Carolina, Telluride, Colorado, and I moved here 12 years ago, where I began my residential practice here in Bozeman.
So being in Montana, people want to hear interesting stories. Just tell us about the horseshoe story.
Well, in fact, I happened to bring it with me, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second. So Bozeman is an old Western town, really began to develop after the Civil War. And last summer, outside of our office, we had we work on a corner down here, and one of the original and older streets in Bozeman, and they dug it up. They were replacing water and sewer pipes. And we had these enormous 20 to 25 foot trenches out in front of our office. And one day I'm walking up to the front door, and sitting on the sidewalk is this horseshoe. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's fascinating. You can just look at it and see the age and the curve of it. And I brought it inside our office and I set it down on our conference room table. Well, one of our colleagues is an avid horseman, rancher, fly fisherman. Chip's fabulous. He's your quintessential 6'3", 10-gallon hat advisor at our office. And he walks in and he sees this horseshoe sitting on the conference room table. And immediately he said, number one, he said, that is a hand-forged horseshoe. He said, I'm going to tell you right now, that horseshoe's probably from around the late 1800s, early 1900s. And he said also that comes from a very large horse. So maybe some sort of a draft horse, Clydesdale or Percheron, coming up and down the street, hauling crates and freight up and down the town of Bozeman when it was just dirt roads.
And I understand that you have another great piece of history. You have Mr. Gary Cooper.
Absolutely. Most people don't realize that Gary Cooper was from Montana. We do commemorate Mr. Cooper. We have a lovely theater downtown called the Ellen Theater, and there is a star on the sidewalk for Gary Cooper downtown.
Oh, that's great. So let's start talking about real estate.
Great.
How many times have people come up to you and given you a call regarding purchasing the John Dutton Ranch?
Well, once a week, maybe. Obviously, with the advent when Kevin Costner brought the show Yellowstone to television, it was an enormous hit, and I call it the Dallas of the 80s. Yellowstone is our Dallas, what Dallas was back in the 80s, and we frequently get that request. In fact, we own 5 offices here in the area, and we have 5 distinctive areas just within driving distance around us. We have Bozeman, we have Big Sky, just about 50 miles to the south, and we have Livingston. just about 35 miles to the east. Now, that is where the story of Yellowstone takes place, is down in the Paradise Valley. So, in particular, when that show debuts in July, our website hits go up about 40%. With folks looking at the Bozeman and, Livingston, Paradise Valley area. But that is the question that we receive a lot is, where's the John Dutton Ranch and how can I buy that?
So where are people coming from? Where are they migrating from?
Now, prior to COVID, we had a lot of folks coming from California and Colorado. Okay. Since COVID hit, that has really expanded a lot to Seattle, Portland. We probably see more Northern California than we do Southern California, but we have a healthy number of folks coming from Southern California and Arizona and even Texas. And the East Coast. I can't tell you the number of folks I've helped just from the Atlanta area or, the Georgia, South Carolina markets. And I think one of the biggest things that really buoys Bozeman's foundation, its economy, is an incredible university that we have. Montana State is amazing. It has business and economics, engineering, agriculture. It's more of the engineering and ag school in the state of Montana. And its president and its community has just built an incredible foundation. And that draws a lot of folks here. And that brings events, cultural events, to a town of Bozeman size that we wouldn't normally have if we didn't have a strong university. So we've had anyone from Elton John and Def Leppard to Kenny Chesney's coming to visit us this summer.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what price points people can expect?
That's another great question, Alan. It all has to do with supply and demand. And our demand far exceeds our supply. And right now, depending upon what someone wants to purchase, if maybe they want a couple of acres, and I'm going to say somewhere between maybe 10 to 20 acres, and they'd love a lovely custom home on it, they may be looking in the high 1 million to 3.5 million range. For I always used to say our sweet spot in Bozeman was maybe that 350 to 750 range, anywhere from a condominium to a really nice home downtown. And so our median price right now of homes in Bozeman is probably in the $460,000 range. We've been discovered by a lot of folks. And so that is really impacting our supply and demand.
Can you tell us a little bit about the architectural designs? How has that changed through the years?
So I just sold a historic home in downtown Bozeman that was built in 1912. And our historic area of town, which is just kind of south of our main street, our lovely downtown corridor, you're going to find a lot of homes built in some in the late 1800s to early 1900s. We do have sections of downtown that were really built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Surrounding Montana State is a very mix of architectural styles, from old and historic and Victorian to more of that mid-century modern that we have to offer. And some of the homes that were not of quality built and not of historic nature have been either renovated significantly and really taken down to their studs, and some have even had to be removed. And so newer homes have been built, and you start to see more of that, what I call that mountain modern. You'll see a little bit more angles to those homes and slanted roofs, and very charming, very conscious on the use of space because they are older historic lots downtown. So very conscious about the use of space, both inside and outside.
Pollyanna, talk to us about your seasonal activities.
So we have an array of winter sports, which includes skiing, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing. Here in Bozeman, we have Bridger Bowl, which is I'm standing here actually looking at it right now, which is maybe 15 minutes, you're on the ski slopes. And then to the south of us, just about 50 miles, we have Big Sky, which Big Sky is the largest terrain ski resort in the United States. So yes, snowmobiling, ice climbing, ice skating. I happen to be a rabid hockey mom. Both my children play hockey. And there's figure skating. There's now curling. We have a curling league, and Bozeman has the largest adult hockey league in the state. In the summertime, we're a world-renowned hotspot for fly fishing. We have Three Forks to the west of us, which is the confluence of the Gallatin, Madison, and Jefferson rivers. Hiking, biking, kayaking, canoeing. The summer here is just exceptional.
So let's talk a little bit, Pollyanna, about your appreciation. How has that been year after year with the home values there?
Oh, that is the never-ending question. Our appreciation has been, quite frankly, through the roof. Prior to COVID, we saw a healthy 8 to 10% a year. In some of our market sectors right now, we're seeing as high as 21% a year.
Pollyanna, what condition may a buyer expect a home to be in when they're looking in Montana?
Well, I don't know that it's all that different from your market. Of course, we're in a seller's market. Now, I always prepare my sellers, though, to have that house and that property in as top a shape as possible in order to garner the highest dollar per square foot for that property. So our industry as a whole here, we do work really hard to prepare our sellers to put those homes in top condition, just so that they can garner that highest dollar. So you're going to see things, typically you're going to see things very well maintained, staged in some aspects. And, they want to put their best foot forward.
That's good to hear. And Pollyanna, how easy is it to get in and out of Montana flight-wise?
So the Bozeman Airport is the largest airport in the state of Montana. I think I looked yesterday, and we have approximately 26 direct flights, LA being one of those. San Francisco being one of those cities that we have direct flights to. And just last week, Southwest Airlines announced that they're going to be flying into Bozeman starting in May of this year. So we do have the busiest airport in the state. So that is also allowing people to move here, and they can work full time. If they need to travel for work, it's a very easy flight, one flight or two flights to be anywhere in the country.
Pollyanna, are there tax savings in Montana?
Montana does not have a sales tax. We do have property tax and we do have income tax, but we do not have sales tax. But one thing that is very important to your viewers is the fact that Montana is a non-disclosure state. We're about one of 6 states in the U.S. that are non-disclosure states, which means what you pay for your property is not disclosed in any way, shape, or form.
That's actually a nice feature, very nice feature to have. Pollyanna, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, Location Luxe.
Alan, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to share Montana with everyone, and I look forward to having you personally visit here soon.